We had the announcement this week that one of the pound-for-pound greats of our lifetime, Jake Paul, will be back. He's facing Nate Diaz. What do you think about this fight?
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, in the words of Nate Diaz. Listen, it just goes to show how special boxers are. Because he fought one boxer in Tommy Fury. He lost. And I know it wasn't close as much as the judges might have put it out to be. That it was gone back to fighting ex-UFC fighters, ex-sports stars. It just goes to show how good boxers are. And fair play to, you know, Jake Paul. I think it's a good fight. What do you think?
I think it's a good fight. I thought you were going to take the spin on that for a second. That, you know, oh, he's fought a boxer who's gone back. Listen, you got to understand it for what it is.
Exactly.
It is a business.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you, like, I don't know whether I'm being naive here and I don't watch enough YouTube boxing, but am I right to say, regardless of how they are in ability, the two sort of leading names in YouTube boxing are probably Jake Paul and KSI?
I'd agree, yeah.
At the minute.
Yeah.
I don't class Tommy Fury as a YouTube boxer. I class him as a lower level boxer who could have some YouTube fights. If you look at KSI's last 5 opponents, yeah, you got Logan Paul. Swarms? I don't know the fella. Swarms. Pineda? Don't really know him anywhere.
Who?
Apparently he's a journeyman boxer. FaZe Temper, again, don't know. Joe Fournier, I know you because you're David A's mate. Then let's go on to Jake Paul's last 5 opponents. Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Tommy Fury, and now Nate Diaz. Come on, mate. Well, you need me to spell it out for you? This is WWE at this point, yeah? And accept that it is, and don't get angry at that. This is WWE, yeah? That is entertainment. The boxing purists might go, yeah, well, no. You can say what you want. It's not aimed at you. It's not aimed at you.
Exactly,
it's aimed at your little brother who's 8 years old and is really interested in it, but it's not aimed at you, the boxing purist. So for the casual fan or the YouTube fan who might be interested in this, Jake Paul's resume pisses all over KSI's.
100%.
I believe that Jake Paul has took on a fight here, which 3 years ago would have been a fight that I would have probably been backing him to lose. At this point, I see it being a close fight, and they can make probably a trilogy out of it. One thing I would say is Nate Diaz, he's battle worn, he's tough. He used to spar a lot of rounds with Andre Ward, you know. Used to spar with Andre Ward. There's a well, not famous, but there's a quote that probably both me and you would know. It's Andre Ward. He goes, I've sparred Nick and Nate. Nick and Nate both got hands. They can both fight, yeah? And if Andre Ward's saying that about you, then, you know, you're probably doing say it right in a boxing ring. I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a real hard one. I think it would be similar to the Anderson Silva fight. I think it will be similar to that Anderson Silva fight in terms of being a fight that Jake probably wins. I think Jake probably does win against Nate Diaz, but I think it would be a fight that maybe you might squeeze a couple of fights out of. And listen, there's one thing is this year, although the Anderson Silva-Jake Paul fight was a competitive fight, Jake Paul was a fan of Anderson Silva as a youngster. So it was never going to sell on that bad blood level. This fight will fucking sell. This fight will sell. This fight will do good pay-per-view numbers, man.
Yeah, because it's Stockton, motherfucker, Stockton. No, honestly, the thing is, the one thing people need to realise with that Jake Paul-Tommy Fury fight is that there's a lot of emotions involved in that fight. So you might not necessarily have seen, I'm not trying to make excuses, but you might not necessarily have seen Jake Paul's best because there was a lot of emotions invested in that fight. You saw Tommy Fury breaking down after the fight. This fight, less so. You're right, there's more on the line going forward because everyone really, if you're interested in this type of fighting, you really want to see Jake Paul versus KSI down the line. If Jake Paul beats Nate Diaz, there is good potential for that fight to happen. You're right, his resume pisses all over KSI's. But can you imagine Ben Askren and Silva knocked out Tyron Woodley into next week? Never mind next week, next 3 years. And then Nate Diaz, 4 wins. Regardless of the ex-UFC fighters, this guy wasn't even a boxer before he started doing this. And to think he's got 4 wins over those guys, it's a testament to how hard he's worked. Fair play to him. It's a good fight. It does sell. One thing I will say is I hope Nate Diaz wins. I'm a big Nate Diaz fan.
Same here.
And like he's got some pretty good skills. I mean, you mentioned Andre Ward's quote, but that left hand down the middle is beautiful. He's got a good jab. He's got a lot of scar tissue, which means he can absorb a lot of fight. He might bleed a lot, but he doesn't look like that. He's got a great chin as well.
You just went through Jake Paul's resume a little bit, yeah? Mate, like, Tyron Woodley beats KSI, and there's nothing controversial about that. Anderson Silva smokes KSI. You know what I mean? Tommy Fury kills KSI. There's no comparison in my opinion, but listen, I'd like to know what you lot think. Let me know in the comments who's winning that fight.